Hello, welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto. Today we're going to talk about how Kentucky wants to censor your body. Kentucky wants control over what you write on your own body. Uh, you know, Almost 28 years as an attorney, I've seen a lot of goofy laws that got passed, and I've also seen a lot of goofy laws that didn't get passed, and you wonder who's drafting the goofy laws? Where do they even come from? Some of them I understand. Okay, that once in a while the morality police will come along and say, hey, look, we don't think people should be doing this, that, or the other thing based on our religious beliefs or something. They've actually proposed a law in Kentucky that is so idiotic that it's indefensible. It wouldn't pass constitutional muster for a millisecond, and yet it's been proposed, and right now it's in the process of being passed into law. And I double checked to make sure this isn't a hoax or a Snopes or anything like that. It's a real story. Kentucky proposes a ban on using tattoos to cover up scars. So just understand this. I don't have any tattoos, but I've seen them. And I've known people who put messages on their body in the form of tattoos. I've seen people put things in their bodies that were vile, things that you wouldn't want to see on the side of a school bus or the side of a building. But if you want to put it on your own body, you can, because your own body is yours. And it's also like it's a slate that you can write on. It's yours. I can take a pen out right now and write something on my arm if I want to. Okay? So, Kentucky health officials are proposing a ban on tattooing over scarred skin, a plan that could block one of the reasons many people get tattoos. So let's suppose, I'm just making stuff up here, let's suppose you had a scar that you thought was unsightly right here. Okay? That's my arm in case you can't see it. I forget how far out the frame goes. You have a scar right here that you don't like looking at because when you're sitting at a desk, it's right there. So you go to a tattoo parlor and you find an artist and you talk to the guy and you go, hey, look, there's a scar. I don't like looking at it. It kind of bums me out. And the guy goes, oh, I can put this beautiful design right over it. You don't have to look at that scar anymore. You can look down. There's a beautiful design, whatever the design may be. Two eagles fighting a snake, riding a Harley Davidson, whatever it is. You can put something there other than the scar. So the state's Department of Public Health has not stated why they're proposing this, except that they want to clean up the environments in tattoo shops. Well, cleaning up the environment in tattoo shops has nothing to do with what parts of your body the tattoo is going on. It would have to do with, I assume, the equipment, clean the equipment, keep the equipment clean. This is one of those things. It's a mind boggler. A man, Draven Gayhart, works with Lost Gypsy Tattoo in Hazard, Kentucky. I believe that's the home of the Duke boys. Said he's covered up dozens of scars over the years, including one on his wife. She had a large portion of her bicep removed. She had a large scar in the area. She hid this scar for half of her life, he told a TV station. And now it's been turned into something she likes to look at. It's on her body. It was done by her husband. And Kentucky wants to make that illegal for reasons they have not even stated. Here's the thing. I've actually seen someone pass a law. And at first you're looking at the law going, why? What's that? And somebody goes, well, let me explain this law to you. And I'll give you an example. There are certain animal parts of animals that possession of is illegal. It's illegal to possess a certain part of an animal. Depending on where you are, there could be ivory off of an elephant. It could be a feather off of an endangered bird. And they made it illegal simply to possess those things. And I had a friend of mine come up to me one day and he goes, hey, you know what's the dumbest law ever? He goes, if you get caught in possession with this, you'll get arrested for that. And I go, so what? That's a good law. And he goes, what if I'm walking down the street and I just find a dead bird there and I pick some feathers off it because they look cool, and a cop comes along and says, hey, that bird feather there is illegal to possess, and he arrests me. And I say, well, number one, it's not going to be a cop. It's going to be like a DNR officer or a federal agent or something. I go, but number two, you understand that if they didn't have that law, every single time they caught somebody with those feathers, they go, I found a dead bird laying by the side of the road. And frankly, how often do you find, like, say, dead elephants lying by the side of the road? Yeah, so I broke out a hacksaw and chopped off his tusk. What? Now wait, you're harassing me now for possession of ivory. I took him off a dead elephant. Well, I assume you did. It's really hard to get them off them while they're alive. But the point is that the law makes sense if you think about it. People have been pondering this law now for 24 hot hours on the internet, and no one can explain why there ought to be a law against tattooing over a scar. Now, I understand you wouldn't want to tattoo over an open wound, right? I mean, if I still have a bleeding, oozing sore on my arm, and I go, hey, that looks unsightly, can you tattoo over it? I have a feeling the tattoo artist would run from me. Say, go to a hospital. That needs to be looked at. But if you have a perfectly healed piece of skin, but it's got a scar on it, and you're not allowed to tattoo it because the people in Kentucky want to control what you put on your own body? You know where I'm going with this next, right? We'll get there in a second. At Zoe's Tattoos and Piercings in Louisville, owner Alonzo Chappelle told a TV station they tattoo scars over nearly every day. It's really a healing process, he said. I mean, a lot of people come to have closure on maybe a scar or some kind of a burn. And that, again, is something that creates scars if you get burned. And we've all met people or known people who had burns on their bodies also. And not necessarily over their entire body, but part of their body. And I can tell you right now, I mean, I've met people who, dress to cover things up. And some people say, rather than having to change my wardrobe every single day for the rest of my life, I'm going to get a tattoo put over this because tattoos are more acceptable in our society than they were 50 years ago. As a little kid, you saw someone with a tattoo, you go, oh, the guy was a sailor. I'm old. The proposal does not define scarred skin, which of course is another problem. And artists say that without that clarification, they could not provide cover-up tattoos. A statement from the State Cabinet of Health and Family Services said, quote, regulations in this area have not been updated for about 15 years, end quote. Oh, so let's update them by just making up wacky rules. They haven't been updated in 15 years. Outlaw left-handed tattooistry. Say the guy cannot tattoo left-handed. Why? People who are left-handed are sinister, right? A public hearing on the matter is scheduled for May 28th in Frankfort, the capital. They put that in there because a lot of people don't know that the capital of Kentucky is, in fact, Frankfort. Okay? So, here's the thing. The proposed ban on tattooing over scarred skin. Where to begin? Governments can pass laws to pass constitutional muster. They cannot, among other things, deprive you of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. And someone's going to point out that what I do with my own body is liberty. Okay, life is if they kill you. Liberty is if they control what you do with your own body. And I'm summarizing this, trying to anticipate the hate mail already. And then, of course, property is your stuff. But some of it's abstract. But the point is, what I do with my own body is my liberty. And the Supreme Court has ruled repeatedly that if the government passes a law that restricts your liberty or your life, they must have a compelling reason to do so. A good reason. And they will actually look at that reason and then ask, does that reason outweigh the fact that your life and liberty, in particular, are guaranteed protected by the Constitution? And here, where they can't even give a reason, it's like admitting, we're going to play a baseball game tomorrow in which my team will score 0 runs. Can I win? No, you can't win. You can't win. Now, you can say, Steve, there could be a tie. Well, except baseball games last forever until there's a winner. But I suppose it could be a divide by 0 error, maybe. But the point is that, all the math guys are going to get involved. The point is that you cannot win this argument without proposing why you passed the law. The state of Kentucky cannot defend this by going, we passed the law because we're the officials, we get to do that. No, you don't. You've got to pass laws that have a compelling reason to exist if they infringe on my liberties. Okay? And that's just slam dunk con law 101. That's carve it in stone. Okay? Number 2, and this is where even if you got past the first one, there's another one. Freedom of speech. I can put stuff on my body as an expression of thought. I can put I like, and I can name a political candidate right here on my chest if I wanted to. I could put the names of relatives right here on my arm if I wanted to. I've met people with tattoos that I got to know, and I'd say, by the way, what's the story on that one? What's the story on that one? They never say. I just walked into a tattoo parlor and said, hey, slap something on. Most people with tattoos have put thought into their tattoos. And again, here I am. I'm defending people I'm not one of. I don't have a tattoo on my body. I probably never will. But the point is that every tattoo tells a story. And if you ask the person wearing it, they'll say, yeah, let me explain this one. Let me explain this one. I know people whose entire bodies are picture books that tell stories. By definition, that form of expression falls under your protected right of free speech. So the idea that Kentucky can say, you're allowed to put stuff on your body, but we're going to control where you put it, is censorship. It's censorship just the same way if they said, you can broadcast the news, but we're going to say when you can broadcast it, where you can broadcast it, what manner you can broadcast it in, what language you broadcast it in. Oh, you want to broadcast news in French? You can't do that. Sorry. We're not going to let you do that. That would be just an immediate First Amendment violation. So, like I said, there's two huge constitutional problems here. But even before you get to them, and this I think would be a good test for any politician, when you wake up in the morning and you say, I've been charged by the people of the great land of where I live to oversee the laws of the land. And you wake up that morning and go, I'm going to write a law today. I'm going to draft a law today. And if everything goes well, I draft a law, and it's like a bill on Capitol Hill. It goes through the process, and it becomes a law. Before I put pen to paper, figuratively speaking, maybe I should actually think of something that needs to be fixed and pass a law that fixes that. And if I can't think of something that needs to be fixed, then I should just shut my mouth, figuratively speaking. Okay? You don't need to pass laws just because these have not been updated for 15 years. Oh, quick, let's update them. You know something? There are actually some laws that have been in the books for hundreds of years. You know it's still illegal to pull a gun out and shoot them in anger? That's illegal. It's been illegal for hundreds of years. Now you could say, hey Steve, it hasn't been updated in 15 years. Let's update it. No, it turns out that law has been in the books for a long, long time. It's been modified slightly, but we don't go, we need to overhaul all our laws every 15 years just to keep ourselves busy. In fact, this might just be busy work. It might be the people in Frankfurt need to spend less time passing laws and more time trying to make the government run more efficiently. Call me crazy. So in case you didn't catch the gist or the outline of what I'm talking about here, because I'm not using an outline, so you can't follow if I can't. Number one, it's going to violate the Constitution on your liberties. Number two, it's going to violate the Bill of Rights, First Amendment, on your right to free speech. And number three, it's just a stupid law that has no reason to exist unless someone can chime in and say, Steve, I can explain this to you, much like the eagle feather or the elephant tusk. If you can do that, chime in. I'll do an update on this video if someone explains that to me, or if someone in Frankfurt, the capital of Kentucky, can explain to me why this law, proposed law, makes any sense at all. And if you think it does, tell me if anybody wants to wager, in some legal manner, wager on whether this will survive constitutional scrutiny. Because I'm going to give you really big odds. Really big odds. I have not seen a law so poorly constructed, thought out, or executed, even though this one hasn't been fully executed yet, than this one if it were to go through. Okay? Mark my words. Mark my words. I'm going on a limb here, people. So there we go. Questions or comments, put them below. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.